Mel, everybody. I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Before I talk about MicroStrategy, I just want to go and talk about Bitcoin. Because MicroStrategy is basically just a leverage play for Bitcoin. And I want to show you something. MicroStrategy only has really gone through the last cycle and the current cycle. Before that, didn't hold any Bitcoin, right? So I do want to talk about, how they're, if you look at MicroStrategy chart, which I'm going to show you in a second, a lot of people make some parallels in between this current cycle and the last cycle. But I would also argue that this cycle will also look very, very different compared to the last cycle. It actually looks more like the cycle before that. What do I mean by that? Let's kind of show you a couple of things. First thing I want to show you is the Boreal support band. This is a weekly chart of Bitcoin. And you can already see if I just pull it up in this current cycle right here, it's been using the Boreal support band as a pretty good footing on its way up. Sometimes it kind of went underneath of it, but eventually just went back out with a vengeance, right? And it really has been just using step, a little bit closer step, not quite there, and then a couple months later, another step, right? So this is a very, very stepwise, finding good footing, finding good support, push price up, right? This is what Bitcoin is doing this cycle. What did it do last cycle? Last cycle was this tip, it's just basically the last time it touched like the Boreal support band was right here in September 2020. Next thing you know, the next time it touches it was all the way in like May of 2021, right? So you're really talking about like 8 months without touching the Boreal support band on the way up, just flying in space. No wonder you're really completely exhausted when you get up there, right? Why did it try to get up there so fast, so quickly? I think it was because the bull cycle for Bitcoin was significantly interrupted by COVID. This really probably caused, this is like a true black swan event that probably really caused a lot of technical damage to the Bitcoin chart. Sure, you have a lot of crazy inflow that comes, afterwards, but you also have a lot of inflation. So the whole like liquidity cycle over here is really messed up, right? So I think that there's a reason why towards the end of the cycle when things really need to get like pushed up, things get so parabolic, so fast without even touching the lunar sword band is because it's trying to make up for some lost time over here. Let's say, for example, if it didn't have COVID, it could have been like this, right? It could have gone a lot higher. It could have a lot more time to try to bounce off the lunar support band and go up. And you may not have even a truncated fifth wave. Like this is a truncated fifth wave, by the way. Wave one, right? Wave two, wave three, on the way up. This is a big wave. Wave four, and you have wave five. Wave five technically also should have like three subwave, sorry, like five subwaves as well, but it's truncated right here. The last cycle is weird. I don't want you to think about it as the last cycle. This cycle over here so far is a little bit healthier, right? Bouncing from the bull and support band on the way up. What about the cycle before the last cycle? Same thing, bouncing on the bull market support band on his way up. Very, very, very nice. All the way until it really started to get exhausted is when it didn't touch the bull market support band in here anymore, right? So you're talking about all the way from September to like December, not touching it until really back in January, like for like 4 months not touching it. That's a little bit exhausted. That's really trying to squeeze the last bit of bullish energy out of it. So I think this cycle is starting out pretty nice and gentle. It's just using some pretty solid grounding to push its way up further. I think that if you compare MicroStrategy on the current cycle and the last cycle, it's not going to be fair because again, the current cycle has really been very, very nice bouncing from the bull market support band like 5 times so far in the matter of just like 6 months, right? And is really using this as very, very solid grounding to get up higher. And it pulled the bull market support band higher because that's what it's supposed to do. And it still go back and back tested, right? What happened during the last cycle? It didn't touch the bull market support band for like 6 months until the bear market starts, right? It didn't even touch it. So by the time you get all the way up here in February 2021, you think price is going to get a lot higher because this big giant wick all the way to like 1300 got exhausted. The whole trend got exhausted. It's a stock. It has to follow gravity, and next thing it just kind of bounced all the way back down, and it bounced hard, right? Was having a hard time making a higher high, even though Bitcoin did end up making a higher high, because how far exhausted MicroStrategy was, right? Does this look like it's like really exhausted to you? Probably not. It's just using some pretty good grounding to kind of push it up, right? Now, I'm going to switch over to the monthly. I'm also going to pull up the Bollinger Band. This basically shows you the same thing, right? This cycle over here, the last cycle, when candles number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 above the upper Bollinger Band. So it closed like 5 months above the upper Bollinger Band. Actually, this one I would also count it as a 6 candle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all about the upper Bollinger Band, with the fifth one like with this big giant wick all the way up to like 1300, right? Just way too far, way too fast. Not even closing inside. Didn't even try to take a break. Of course, you're gonna have exhausted and tired out, right? What happened this cycle? Close outside up a Bollinger Band once, twice, spin candle down, right? Finding some solid grounding over here. Having another big giant candle over here, another big giant candle over here. What happens next? Price got a red candle, went back inside the upper Bollinger Band again. Right? So it's really doing what is necessary to kind of have a little bit more of a sustainable bull trend. If you just look at superficially, you would think that, hey, this over here looks like the peak over here. Very, very similar morphology. But you actually look under the hood, this particular bull market that we're in right now is a lot more strategic. And because it's more strategic, there might be more time for you to cool down and strategize and make the next move. If you look at the RSI, it also tells you the same thing. Over here, it wasn't even like a stepwise thing. It's just like RSI just went all the way from like 40 to like 95 in just like a whole year. Like it didn't even take any like steps up. It just goes like, oh well, I'm gonna go up here now. So far, the bull market is different. So far, even the RSI is looking like it's just climbing upstairs, doing the appropriate cool downs, and on his way up further, right? That's what that's looking like to me. I guess I spent the last 7 minutes just trying to tell you that I don't think that MicroStrategy has topped. But you might already have known that if you watched my video a couple days ago about the 10 reasons why I think that Bitcoin hasn't topped yet. It has a lot to do with a very, very similar situation that you're seeing here. Really, what I'm really seeing is that price is cooling down and is back testing the previous high over here, right? Before that, the cycle before that, like what did it have to back test? Nothing. Like it just went way far in space. There's nothing really here to like back test, right? Went way far in space, and when it dropped back down, it didn't have anywhere else to go except for until you get to the previous level where you actually have something to kind of serve as a little bit of support there, right? Now, what's happening this cycle? It's got a lot of supports on the way up, including this big giant wick over here. It looks like a very, very nice hammer bomb can over here, by the way. Including this giant wick over here is just basically back testing the previous high. So you actually have something that you can actually have some solid grounding on instead of just flying in space, right, and getting all exhausted. This cycle is looking very, very different from the last cycle. Right? In addition to all that, if you just look at the monthly, and I also mentioned based on Bollinger Band, based on Ichimoku Cloud, based on Blue Support Band, based on an MVRV Z-score, based on Pi cycle analysis, based on the fact that altcoin season has started, based on the fact that China is actually starting to pump liquidity and may have potentially bottom, and also based on the fact that IWM, the Russell 2000, which is going to be more cycle dependent, that also hasn't started pumping yet. All those 10 reasons are telling me that I don't think Bitcoin has topped yet, and therefore neither has MicroStrategy. I'm not just talking about like a little bit more of a top, I'm talking about a stronger top. The problem with this is I'm just like any analyst or analyst wannabe. I'm just like them. All I'm really telling you is my observation. What I'm really telling you is what I think. I cannot guarantee that this is not the top. No one can guarantee that this is not the top. But so far, if the only worry that you have is just by looking at how parabolic this is, and that it seemed like it was looking very similar to you from last time, if you're just basing on that, I think you might be relating the current cycle to the wrong cycle here in the past. I'm not sure we're done yet. I think there's a potential for it to continue to go up. The biggest question though is how far is it going to go down? Like right now, it's just been forming higher lows, higher highs, higher low, higher high, and higher low, right? How low is this higher low going to go? Is it going to go all the way back down to like the 700s to 800s? Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Is it realistic? Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it can. It certainly can. But you also have a pretty, strong bull trend over here too. 21 range is still crawling up. You have a pretty strong bull trend over here too. Bollinger Band looks like it's still kind of, wanting to go up and expand. So at some point during a bull market, the upper Bollinger Band is going to serve as a little bit of a magnet to kind of suck price up higher, right? So right now the upper Bollinger Band is around 1300 and price is way below that, right? It's 1180. I think there is a potential for the month of May, if not June, for price to use that upper Bollinger Band as a magnet to kind of suck it up there, allowing it to continue to expand, allowing it to continue to go up. Right? That's my primary case. There are obviously bear cases, but that's my primary case based on what I'm seeing, based on what I'm telling you. Right now, you're forming a little bit of volume shelf over here. It is getting a little bit rejected over here by the upper Bollinger Band, but I still think it's going to serve as a little bit of a magnet. And given time, maybe another month or so, I think that there most likely will be a resumed bull market for MicroStrategy. Look at the other indicators too beyond the Bollinger Band. Look at the Ichimoku cloud. You can already see that it's already trying to backtest some very, very important support over here. The blue line is called the Tenkan, the red line is called the Kijun, conversion and baseline, right? You had a bullish cross that just happened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, right? And on the bull market, it is completely expected that you would just backtest the Tenkan, and sometimes you backtest the Kijun, but most of the time you're going to backtest the Tenkan on the way up. Right now, even though price did drop from, earlier in the month down to the current level, right now, price is still above the monthly Tenkan and Kijun. And if you ask me whether or not the Tenkan and Kijun is going to end up pushing price a lot higher, my answer to you is I think so. The reason why I would say that is because on a bull market, again, on a bull market, monthly Tenkan gets flipped from resistance to support, right? Support. Here, I tested the Kijun down here a little bit, but even a Tenkan over here serves support, right, on the way all the way up, right? The Tenkan line, which is the blue line right here, is calculated through a 9-candle period. It's basically the average of the tallest candle and the lowest candle divided by 2. So as you continue to move along, you're going to start subtracting. You're going to end up like not using these candles over here, not taking them into consideration, right? Right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Next month, you're not going to count this candle anymore. So the low is going to be right around here. The high is going to still be around here, but the Tenkan is going to push up higher. Every month as it passes by, as long as price is staying above the Tenkan and Kijun, the Tenkan and Kijun would continue to go up. So that's why I think that there's a strong possibility where price would continue to go up a lot higher because Tenkan could also potentially push price up higher together with it. Now the question is, okay, great. So you're telling me that the cycle looks more bullish. There's probably some bullish continuation. If you weren't skeptical of that, if you believe in what I'm saying, which again, I'm not trying to get you to believe what I'm saying, I'm just trying to show you my rationale and my logic. I could be completely wrong, but at least I try, right? What if I'm right? How low is the higher low going to get? Right now, we're still trying to potentially form a higher low, right? I mean, that could have been it, but could it go lower? Potentially. Yeah, could it go maybe below 1,000? Could it go down to like 800 or so? Sure, there's always that possibility. If it goes down to 800, it goes down to 800. It's still a higher low, and it's still a bull trend, right? Although at that point, I would believe that, yeah, things are looking a little bit more exhausted. But it's still a bull trap. I'm still going to end up giving a bit of a doubt. If you're buying MicroStrategy, should you buy where we're at right now, or should you wait until it goes down lower? Maybe backtest 1,000 again, maybe all the way down to 800, 700 even. Are you going to wait until these prices to buy, or are you going to buy now? I don't have the answer for you. The only answer I know is that you shouldn't have bought here at 2,000 because it was just way above the Tenkan. It was also way above the upper Bollinger Band. So that was the wrong spot to buy. And it went all the way down to like 1,000 when 50% drop. But that was a pretty bad spot to buy. So a lot of times when we're chasing momentum, it's not good. But if you ask me what MicroStrategy is going to do, because it's been forming higher lows, higher highs, because it's been so nice to do these kind of back tests on the Bollinger Support Band, because all these things are doing to ensure that it is a sustainable bull trend, I think it's probably going to go higher. This is the part of the bull market where people are still warning you to not have any unrealistic expectations for a stock like MicroStrategy or for Bitcoin or for Coinbase. Is this the appropriate time to have disbelief? Should you buy MicroStrategy? How high could it potentially go? I'm gonna get in trouble here. Some people may not like it, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the Fibonacci extension levels over here from the previous high to the cycle low. And this is just a rough estimate, right? And what you're really going to see here is it's doing something very, very expected. It already hit the 1.618 level, and it backtested one and didn't really find support, and now it went back all the way down to 0.786 level. Looks like it bounced from there, right? So I think that there's a potential for it to go up a lot higher if Bitcoin continues to go up higher. And I just showed you on a separate video as to why I think Bitcoin's going to go up higher. Do I think that these levels up here are potentially going to be met? I think there's a possibility. Do I think that higher levels beyond that is going to be met? I'm not sure, because I do think that this big giant move right here may already be the start of the big move up, right? So do I think it's going to end up going beyond like 4.236? I'm not so sure about that. But I think that these targets up here is possible. I'm just going to leave it as that. Based on where we are in the cycle, based on the fact that I don't think we really have like a bad trend exhaustion and we've already had pretty significant cool down, and based on the fact that we're actually moving stepwise here and finding supports on the way up, as opposed to last cycle, I think there's still some like room to go up higher. When is that going to happen? When is it going to start going up again? It's anybody's guess, really. If I must have to guess, I would say maybe within a few weeks before it goes up. But nobody really knows, right? I mean, if I am speculating. I think, it's going to continue to go up higher. I did show you my thinking process. I did have things to support my hypothesis. And it's all a game of probability, so I think it's probably going to go up higher. I think it's going to probably be in a few weeks, but nobody really knows for sure. I do have to say, if this is a true leverage play of Bitcoin, then at least every cycle, whenever a bear cycle goes down, it's supposed to get, really close to the previous all-time high, right? And this one over here didn't really do that because it's just way too far, way too fast. But it does make you wonder whether or not this current level over here is going to end up going up higher, and then when it goes down, it might go down to test these levels over here on the bear market, right? It might go down as far as like $500. I think is possible, but I just don't think we're quite there just yet. It's also a bull flag. I'm just gonna give it a benefit of the doubt. On declining volume too during this whole selling thing, it's like a very classic bull flag. Anyway, probably talked too long. talk 20 minutes on MicroStrategy. I'm just going to go through Coinbase here real quick. Basically, what is Coinbase chart looking like? It's looking like MicroStrategy. The only difference is it hasn't quite made that all-time high quite just yet, because all-time high was back when it IPO'd, probably overvalued. And right now we're still kind of stuck underneath this, big horizontal area over here. If I put up the monthly chart, it's going to be a lot more apparent for you. And get rid of the boomerang support band. You can see that price has been at this current level that we're at right now. Spent about 6 months right around there. So you're going to have having a lot of resistance over here. The same thing is also going to be visible here. If you do the volume shelf of the anchor volume profile, you're going to see there's a lot of resistance, a lot of history over here, and you're going to end up having a hard time to try to push more above of it because of all this history that's happened, right? Regardless, this is a very bullish formation, right? Big giant round at bottom, and on its way up, it's just been forming, cup and handle, cup and handle, cup and handle. Who knows how long the handle is going to be, but basically it's going to be a handle because it just went way too far, way too fast. It needed to cool down. It looks just like MicroStrategy, where it had two big green candle and one red candle to cool down back inside Bollinger Band, two big green candle, one cooling back down inside of Bollinger Band, and you got a little bit of rejection on that Bollinger Band, and you're kind of closing right around here. This is very, very similar look to MicroStrategy. Do I think that Coinbase would keep going a lot higher? I think so. Again, because Bitcoin, I still theorize, the 10 reasons as to why Bitcoin hasn't topped yet. Altcoin season also hasn't started yet, so there's a lot of things really going for Coinbase over here. And if you just take away the bullish band, if you just pull out the Ichimoku cloud, it just had the bullish cross over here back in February of 2024. This bull trend has just been confirmed, if you will, just like 3 months ago. And the price action is such that, whenever during a bull market, it flips the Tenkan from resistance to support, right? Support, support, support. And when price got way too far away from the Tenkan, usually it gets punished, right? Either by sideways time wave or Tenkan catch up, or just drop by price like this, bam. Like over here, it got too far away from the Tenkan, went back down, got closer to the Tenkan over here. Does it have to touch it? Not necessarily. Just like it didn't have to touch the Tenkan over here on the bear market. Not necessarily, right? But it got closer to it, which is completely understandable. This is not the morphology of an exhausted bull trend. Okay. Again, if I pull up the RSI, it's only gotten to like the 60s on the monthly, which honestly, for like a speculative asset like this on a strong bull market, the trend hasn't really even been exhausted quite just yet. There's also not really any like bearish divergence that I'm seeing on the monthly. On the weekly, you see a little bit of bearish divergence over here and here, right? Price went up higher, RSI went down lower, but I think this bearish divergence has already worked out for like 8-9 weeks now, right? RSI has already cooled down from all the way to from 80 on a weekly all the way down to back in the 50s, right? So I think theoretically we're getting very close for Coinbase to also run again. The problem with Coinbase is how far down does it have to go to form its higher low, right? Because on its way up, all it's really been doing is just kind of back testing this level, right? Up, back test from the previous high level over here. Up, back testing the previous high level over here. I don't know, it's a little bit off, but it's getting pretty close to it, right? Also having a little bit of price history over here too, so this whole thing is going to serve as a little bit of support over here, which seems like it's doing that. But if you ask me in terms of how far down it goes, I think that the risk levels, and I'm not thinking it's going to come down all the way down here. I think the risk level, the worst it can get, if this is still a bull market, it's going to keep pushing price a lot higher. The worst it can get, I think, is like the monthly Kijun, which is 150s. The second worst is 170s, which is the monthly Tenkan, right? there's not really a whole heck of a lot of on shelves over here, but these are potential support levels over here, right? Yeah, if you look at the 2 week chart, this is actually a very, very beautiful chart because if you look at the 2 week chart, if you look at the Ichimoku cloud, all it's really doing is just push above the cloud here on high volume breakout above the cloud, and it's just been doing a lot of back testing on top of the cloud, right? Back test number one, back test number two, back test number three. The 2 week Tenkan is also catching up as a confluence support level over here. So there's a potential that the top of the cloud is going to be the correction level. The top of the cloud right now is 200.23 and price closed at 200.92. So there's a potential that this could have been it, or at least we're very, very close to the local bottom. You may not necessarily backtest some of the lower levels down here in 170s or even 150s, right? This is a pretty cool confluent area. Now, another confluent thing is if you put the bull market support band, it's also ending right around the same area, right? So there is a possibility where we're really kind of close to getting to the bottom over here because of all of these different confluences, the 2 week Tenkan, bull market support band, and the top of the Ichimoku cloud, right? All these confluences over here could potentially make it the bottom. You also have declining volume in terms of selling. This wholesaling has been non-committal, right? And if anything, this morphology over here looks kind of like this morphology over here, doesn't it? Where you have big giant green candle, couple of them in a row, followed by 1, 2, and 3, followed by a little bit of a green candle over here, followed by maybe another red candle over here, before things get pushed up higher, right? Is it following the same playbook in terms of cooling down before going up higher? Possibly. It's above the cloud, so that really makes me think that there's most likely going to be bullish continuation to go up higher. Now, how far along is it going to consolidate? And if it breaks down from this level, could it go down to further levels, right? Those are some very, very good questions. I just showed you, what the bad risk is, like 150, 170. I think if things go really wrong, it'd be 150. If things go worse than expected, it'd be 170s. It'll still be a bull trend, right? But it'd be a little bit more of an exhausted bull trend at that point. The thing is, next week or the week after or the week after that, you can actually have a potential wick down into the cloud. Like it doesn't have to backtest right at the top of the cloud perfectly. I can potentially seeing where it ended up just forming a little bit of a wick inside the cloud, right? Who's there to say that it won't touch like maybe 180s before it bounces up again, right? But I wouldn't necessarily count on it because you are in some pretty, important confluence of support. Anyway, before I just keep talking, keep yapping, I just want to do one more thing and I'll let you guys go, right? Fibonacci levels. What about the extension levels that I should pay attention to? What is price action doing so far? All it's really doing right now is really just bounce from one Fibonacci level to another. That's kind of what it's doing, right? Went all the way up here to 0.382, bounced back down, found support in the 0.236. Skip a level, went all the way up to the golden ratio, which is 0.618. This is usually a relatively strong resistance. Sure enough, you also have a lot of price history over here, right? Got rejected. Does it go all the way down to the 180s? It could potentially wick down to the 180s. I can see that, right? That's entirely possible, right? The mid 180s before going up higher? Sure. Does it have to do that? Not necessarily. What is the higher price target that you might be eyeing on? I think it's possible where 1.618 and 2.618 are possible targets. And if you think I'm crazy, I would say that it's not that crazy. Imagine price going from like 200 all the way up to 1,000. Because when price is down here in the 50s, I was calling those targets already. When prices were in the 50s, a lot of people didn't think it would just go from 50 all the way to like 270, 280 in just a span of like a year. Anyway, I've talked long enough. It's been almost half an hour. Thank you so much for listening to my rant. Have a good one. Bye.